Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be looking closer at myopia, specifically its development in children.
Yeah.
You sent over a study titled Refractive Error, Axial Length, and Relative Peripheral Refractive Error Before and After the Onset of Myopia.
Yes.
And we are ready to break it down.
It's a fascinating one.
It is.
It comes from the CLEERE Study Group.
Okay.
That's the Collaborative Longitudinal Evaluation of Ethnicity and Refractive Error.
Catchy.
And it followed a large group of children from diverse ethnic backgrounds.
Okay.
Asian, white, Hispanic, and African American.
Great, so a really nice mix.
This diversity is so valuable because it gives us a more comprehensive understanding of how myopia might develop differently across various populations.
It definitely broadens our perspective.
Yeah.
So this study zeroes in on 3 key areas.
Okay.
Refractive error.
Yes.
Axial length. That's the length of the eye from front to back.
Right.
And relative peripheral refractive error, which essentially tells us how the focusing power of the eye changes away from the center of your vision.
Exactly.
They track these in children before, during, and after they develop myopia.
Yeah.
So what's the takeaway here?
Well,
what were they hoping to discover?
The real gem here is the potential for prediction and intervention.
Okay.
Imagine if we could identify kids who are on the path to myopia and maybe even intervene early to slow down its progression.
Wow, yeah.
That's the holy grail of myopia management, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Early intervention is key.
Yeah.
Especially with a condition like myopia that can affect a child's life in so many ways.
So many ways.
Can you walk us through how the study was set up?
Of course. So the researchers first established a baseline by identifying a group of children who stayed emmetropic throughout the study.
Emmetropic.
That means their vision remained 20/20.
Gotcha.
Or at least within a very narrow range.
Okay.
Specifically between Nana's ear 0.25D and plus 1.00D. Think of this group as our control for normal eye development.
Okay.
By comparing them to the children who did develop myopia, we can see what might be going off track, so to speak.
That's a clever approach.
Yeah.
So what did they find?
Well,
were there any early warning signs?
Yeah.
Even before those kids technically hit the myopia threshold of negative 0.75D?
What's remarkable is that changes were already happening years before these children were officially diagnosed with myopia.
Really?
It wasn't a sudden shift. It was a gradual process.
Okay.
Take refractive error, for instance.
Yes.
Those who went on to develop myopia were already less hyperopic or leaning towards myopia as early as 4 years before the official onset.
Wow, 4 years. That's significant.
Yeah.
There's a significant heads up, potentially.
It is.
What about the other measures?
Yeah.
Axial length and relative peripheral refractive error.
Yes.
Did those show early changes too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Axial length, the physical length of the eye, was already longer in the children who became myopic starting about 3 years before the onset.
Wow.
So their eyes were already on a different growth trajectory compared to the emmetropic children. And then about 2 years before onset, we start to see a shift in their relative peripheral refractive error.
Interesting.
It becomes more hypersopic in the periphery.
Okay.
This is particularly interesting because it hints that changes in the shape of the eye might be playing a role in myopia development.
So it's not just about how clearly they see at that moment, but about how their eyes are actually growing and developing over time.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about that year before onset.
Okay.
The year leading up to the official myopia diagnosis.
Yes.
The study highlighted this as a crucial period, right?
It is. We see the most dramatic changes happening right before myopia officially sets in.
Oh, wow.
The rate of myopic shift in refractive error is at its fastest. Axial length also elongates at its quickest rate during this time. And that shift towards hyperopia in the relative peripheral refractive error, it accelerates significantly right before the onset of myopia.
It's almost like the eye is revving its engines, getting ready to cross that myopia finish line.
That's one way to put it. There's a definite tipping point here.
Yeah.
A critical window where things really seem to accelerate. If we can understand what's happening during this period, we might be able to unlock some effective prevention strategies.
Now, I know the study included children from various ethnic backgrounds. Did they observe any differences in how these eye measures changed over time based on ethnicity?
They did.
Okay.
And this is where things get even more intriguing.
Okay.
The most pronounced differences were seen in the relative peripheral refractive error. For example, Asian children tended to have more hyperjumpic peripheries compared to other groups.
Okay.
We're talking about nuances here.
Yeah.
But they could have implications for how we approach myopia management.
So a one-size-fits-all approach might not be the best strategy.
Right?
We need to consider these ethnic variations and how they might influence a child's individual risk for myopia.
Exactly.
This brings up an important point.
Yeah.
The need for personalized myopia management.
Absolutely. Each child is unique, and their myopia journey may be influenced by a complex interplay of factors, including their ethnicity.
Speaking of individual factors, the study also looked at whether wearing glasses had any impact on these eye measures, particularly the relative peripheral refractive error.
Right.
And what did they discover?
Well, that's where it gets a little tricky.
Okay.
The study found that whether or not children wore glasses didn't seem to significantly affect the relative peripheral refractive error.
Interesting.
Now, this doesn't mean glasses are useless.
Right.
Not at all.
Of course not.
They are still crucial for correcting vision and ensuring a child can function comfortably in their daily life.
Right.
Glasses are still an essential tool in our myopia management toolkit.
So it's not just about slapping on a pair of spectacles and calling it a day.
No, not at all.
We need to think beyond just correcting central vision and consider other approaches that might address those peripheral changes and potentially slow myopia progression.
Exactly.
It looks like we've got a lot to unpack here.
We do.
What are some of the key takeaways you think our listeners should focus on from this first part of the study?
I think the biggest takeaway is that myopia is not a sudden event.
Okay.
It's a process that unfolds over time, and there are subtle signs, whispers, if you will, that we can potentially detect years before a child actually needs glasses for distance vision.
It's all about early detection and having those crucial conversations with parents about their children's eye health.
Absolutely.
This study gives us a valuable roadmap for understanding the early stages of myopia and potentially changing the trajectory for these kids.
Oh, sure.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. There's much more to explore in our deep dive into myopia.
Sounds good. Welcome back, everyone.
I'm ready to go deeper.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how much is happening beneath the surface even before myopia makes its grand entrance.
It really highlights the complexity of this condition.
Yeah.
You know, it's a cascade of changes. Refractive error, axial length, peripheral refraction.
Yeah.
All subtly intertwined.
Right.
And there are likely other factors we haven't even uncovered yet.
It's like an intricate puzzle with each piece affecting the others.
Yes.
The more pieces we can identify and understand, the closer we get to solving the myopia mystery.
Exactly.
You mentioned the study found the most rapid changes happening in the year before myopia onset.
Right.
What's your take on why that might be?
Well,
what makes that year so critical?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I guess so.
While this study doesn't give us a definitive answer,
Right.
It does open up some exciting avenues for exploration.
Like what?
One theory is that there might be a threshold effect at play.
Yeah.
Perhaps when the eye reaches a certain length, or the peripheral refractive error hits a specific level of hyperopia, it triggers a series of events that accelerate myopia development.
So it's like a chain reaction.
Yeah.
Where one change sets off a cascade of others.
Exactly.
But what flips that first switch?
Right.
What triggers that initial change? Could be genetics, environmental factors, lifestyle choices, or maybe a combination of everything.
It's likely a complex interplay of all those factors.
Yeah.
Unraveling the mysteries of myopia is like detective work.
Okay.
We need to gather all the clues and piece them together to crack the case.
Right, high stakes.
And the stakes are high.
Yeah.
Because if we can pinpoint those triggers, we might be able to develop targeted interventions that prevent or delay the onset of myopia altogether.
Now let's revisit the ethnic differences observed in the study.
Okay.
Asian children tended to have more hypermetropic peripheral refraction.
Yes.
What are some possible explanations for this?
We're venturing into the realm of speculation here.
Okay.
But a few possibilities come to mind.
Like what?
It could be related to anatomical differences in eye shape among different ethnicities.
Okay.
Or perhaps there are variations in how different groups respond to environmental factors like near work or time spent outdoors.
So it's the classic nature versus nurture debate.
It is.
It's fascinating how genetics and environment can intertwine to shape our health, including our eye health.
For sure.
This really underscores the need for more research focused on understanding these ethnic variations so we can tailor our myopia management strategies accordingly.
Absolutely. A one-size-fits-all approach simply won't cut it in this case.
Right.
We need to consider each child's unique background and risk factors to develop the most effective and personalized approach.
Now, I want to circle back to that intriguing finding about glasses not seeming to impact relative peripheral refractive error.
Okay.
What are the implications of this for eye care professionals?
It's a great question. It's crucial to remember that this study primarily focused on myopia development, not on the effectiveness of different treatment options.
Right.
So while the study suggests that glasses alone may not significantly alter peripheral refractive error, it doesn't negate their importance in correcting vision and improving quality of life for children who are already myopic. Glasses are still an essential tool in our myopia management toolkit.
So it's not just about slapping on a pair of spectacles and calling it a day.
Nope.
We need to think beyond just correcting central vision and consider other approaches that might address those peripheral changes and potentially slow myopia progression.
Exactly.
This deep dive has certainly given us much to ponder.
Yes, it has.
But let's shift our focus to the broader implications of this research. What does it mean for the future of myopia management?
Great question.
And we're back for the final leg of our myopia deep dive.
Ready to bring it home and make sure our listeners walk away with some actionable insights.
That's the goal. We've explored those early signs of myopia, the intriguing role of ethnicity, and the surprising finding about glasses and peripheral vision.
Right.
Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
Let's connect the dots and see what this research means for the future of myopia management.
This study gave us a fascinating glimpse into the years before and after myopia onset. But it didn't answer all our questions, right? What are we still missing?
Exactly. It's important to remember that this is just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
Right.
While the study highlighted key changes in refractive error, axial length, and peripheral refraction, it didn't delve into the why behind those changes. For example, it didn't explore the role of genetics, which we know plays a significant part in myopia development.
Right. Some kids might be genetically predisposed to myopia, while others might have a lower risk, regardless of environmental factors.
Exactly.
What about lifestyle factors? Did the study look at things like near work, outdoor time, or diet? We hear a lot about those influencing myopia risk.
That's another area ripe for further investigation. The study didn't delve into specific lifestyle habits. But those are certainly crucial pieces of the puzzle.
For sure.
Future research needs to be multifaceted, examining everything from genes and molecular mechanisms to environmental influences and behavioral patterns. We need to understand how those pieces interact, how they fit together to create the bigger picture of myopia development.
It's about connecting those dots. Finding those missing links that can help us predict and ultimately prevent myopia more effectively. And that's where collaboration becomes key.
Absolutely.
We need researchers from diverse fields, ophthalmologists, geneticists, epidemiologists, behavioral scientists, all working together to unlock the secrets of myopia.
It takes a village.
I love that analogy. Bringing together the best minds from different disciplines, each with their own unique expertise, could lead to some groundbreaking discoveries.
For sure.
What's the ultimate goal of all this research? Where do we want to go with this knowledge?
The goal is to translate this research into effective prevention and treatment strategies that we can use in our everyday practice. We want to empower parents and children to make informed decisions about their eye health and take control of their myopia journey.
So it's not just about understanding myopia. It's about using that understanding to improve lives, to protect the vision of future generations.
Absolutely.
And studies like this one, despite their limitations, provide us with valuable tools and knowledge to do just that.
For sure.
They pave the way for a future where myopia might not be the inevitable fate it once seemed.
Fingers crossed.
That's a future worth striving for. This deep dive has been eye-opening in so many ways.
It has.
It's exciting to think about the breakthroughs that might be just around the corner thanks to the dedication of researchers and the insights they're uncovering.
I wholeheartedly agree. There's a sense of momentum in the field of myopia research. And I'm optimistic that we'll continue to make significant strides in prevention, management, and maybe even one day a cure.
Well said. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key message you want our listeners to take away?
Okay.
What should they be thinking about as they walk out of their offices and into the world of patient care?
Early detection is paramount.
Okay.
The sooner we can identify children at risk for myopia, the sooner we can intervene and potentially alter the course of their vision.
Right.
So be vigilant, look for those early signs we discussed, and don't hesitate to refer to a specialist if you have any concerns.
Excellent advice.
Yeah.
And for our listeners who are eager to delve deeper into the nitty-gritty of this study, you'll find a link to the full article in the episode description.
Great.
It's a great resource for anyone who wants to stay at the forefront of myopia management.
Absolutely.
And speaking of staying informed,
Yes?
we'd love for you to follow our podcast for more insightful deep dives into the world of eye care.
Yes, please do.
Absolutely. We're passionate about bringing you the latest research and cutting-edge insights, all served up with a dash of humor and a sprinkle of eye puns.
Love it.
And if you're enjoying the show, please do us a favor and leave us a 5-star rating.
Yes.
It helps other curious minds like yours find us and join the conversation.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep those eyes sharp, those minds curious, and remember, early detection is key.
Couldn't have said it better myself.